Hello and welcome to Whiskey Resource. My name is Mark. This is review number 172, and to my right I have Cameron. Hello Cameron.
Hello.
So I'll introduce who he is in a minute, but you'll see the whiskey that we're doing today. It is the Glenmorangie, A Tale of Winter. I'm going to quickly pour the dram and I'll give you a little bit of detail about this particular whiskey. I'm going to lose this hat because my head is baking, so we'll get a shot of that. Sorry, that nearly took you out. So this is a brand new bottle. I got this as a gift from my wife, and for those people who follow my socials, Twitter and such like, you will probably have seen me sharing photos of it because we went to the distillery in November, and nice pop there. And this whiskey was one that I saw and I wanted, so my wife kindly bought it for me for my Christmas gift. So pop that in the glass, pop the lid back on and leave the bottle there. So Glenmorangie, A Tale of Winter. It is a 13-year-old single malt whiskey from the Highland Distillery of Glenmorangie, 46% ABV. As far as we can tell, based on some information that I've gathered by searching around the web, it is non-chill filtered, as you would expect for a 46% ABV whiskey. In terms of colour, we don't know. It has spent 13 years maturing in ex-bourbon before being transferred into ex-Masala Wine Casks. Masala is a wine that comes out from an area outside of the city of Masala on the island of Sicily in Italy. It's a bit of a dessert wine, a bit sweet. So this particular whiskey was developed by one of the chief whiskey developers at Glenmorangie, I believe a chap called Dr. Lumsden. And he apparently was at home and he was sitting in front of the fire and he wanted to have a whiskey that encapsulated winter. The kind of warmth, the flavours, the fireside appeal. And this is what he came up with. It retails online, or it did, because a lot of places have it out of stock at the moment, but it retailed for about £75. So for a 13-year-old whiskey, in terms of value score, given its non-chill filter, it's 46% ABV, it gets 92.23 out of 100 for value, which is a reasonable score. So, when it comes to whiskey tasting, you really don't need to be a rocket scientist. Occasionally it helps to be a student studying astrophysics. Get him. So Cameron.
Yes.
Astrophysics.
Yeah.
Yep.
Studying physics and astrophysics. University of Leeds.
Fantastic. So Cameron is my daughter's long-time boyfriend. Up over Christmas, and he enjoys the odd whiskey. His parents enjoy whiskey. Mm. Yep. So he's had a bit of experience around whiskies, and he's done a lot of distillery tours with his folks growing up. And I thought I would treat him to the first taste of this whiskey, and he agreed to be on camera. So we're just going to do some tasting notes as normal. So, come on, are you ready for it? Let's give it a go and we'll see what this is like. It's sweet.
Yeah, it smells very sweet.
It does, doesn't it? But that's what you'd expect with the Masala wine. It's got a bit of spice there, as you'd expect.
Right at the front. But, the sweet is really
dominant.
Really dominant.
It is. There is a bit of fruit coming through, but at this point it's a bit difficult to identify exactly what that fruit is, but there's probably a bit of orange oil in there, and it's got a little bit of nuttiness, maybe. There's nothing with too much to say. It's kind of what you'd expect a wine finished whiskey to come through as. Sweet. A bit of spice. I wouldn't say off the nose alone I'm getting winter.
No, I wouldn't either. There's definitely a bit of spice in it.
Yeah. It's in terms of comparing it to a sherry bomb, it's not there. And I think for a lot of people, sherry bombs tend to be the dram of the kind of the winter time. Certainly Christmas. But on the palate, cheers. It's quite thick. The viscosity of it's quite thick. It's creamy. It's very syrupy. It's sweet.
Yeah, definitely. It tastes quite like it smells, to be honest with you.
There's definitely some sherry, like fresh sherry. It's obviously the Masala wine, but a fresh tang of sherry coming through there. Maybe a bit of Oloroso kind of note, and we're talking about actual sherry as opposed to sherry influenced whiskey, which suggests that they've kind of used some quite fresh casks, first fill ones when they've done the finishing period. It's less whiskey and more wine, as far as I can see on the palate. This,
Yeah, it's definitely not too strong either, alcoholic tasting wise.
yeah, I think that syrupiness is
Yeah, definitely settles it down.
I'll put a drop of water in. Did you want to drop?
Yeah.
I think this probably could do with quite a bit of diluting, given it's thick. Can't get over how thick that is. In terms, I mean, the first thoughts as to the winter. No,
Yeah,
it's
definitely don't get a...
I'd be mistaken to pick this up and tasting it to think that actually somebody had poured me. I would have said a sherry. I've never tried Masala wine. But I would not have said that this was a single malt whiskey at all. I think this whiskey needs more time to develop, to open up. I'm just going to pop the lid back onto my Glenmorangie glass that I picked up from the distillery and just let this breathe a bit. So I've left this to just sit with a bit of water in it, just to see whether or not we can get some of the vapours to expose themselves. And I did get a bit of bourbon influence coming off the cask, coming through just there. But maybe a bit of citrus, maybe a bit of honey now. But it's quite disappointing. After just sipping some there, I've got the opinion they've used some pretty wet casks, some pretty full wet casks, as they've put the single malt into it to give it the finishing period. And this very much comes across too much as a after dinner aperitif as opposed to a single malt. You couldn't really sit and drink this and explore it to get the flavours out of it. It's too much like a sherry, a fortified wine. It's far too much like a fortified wine. It's less like a single malt, unfortunately, which is very disappointing because I was looking forward to opening this bottle. And Cameron was saying that you were saying that it's really dark.
Yeah, very dark. But it looks like something that's gone into a brand new sherry cask or something, doesn't it? It's really red as well when you put it to the light.
I mean, you can see there how dark that is. It's really dark. Actually, whilst it's pleasant, it's not at all unpleasant. It's not at all undrinkable. It's not a whiskey that I could see myself pulling off the shelf and having, other than as an aperitif, as I mentioned, straight after a dinner. Just something a bit refreshing. Beyond that, it's not a whiskey you're going to have in an evening of sharing drams, unfortunately, and I wouldn't buy another bottle if it was available. In fact, looking at what other 46% sherry influenced whiskies are out there, such as an Edredure, which tend to put out quite dark 46% sherry whiskies, they still have a bit of punch in the ABV.
Yeah, there's no punch in this whiskey at all.
No.
You could just, relatively just drink it.
It's a bit flat in terms of being a single malt, and it's very much a dessert whiskey, which some people might like that, others not so much. So if you were to give it a score out of 10, what would you say to put you on the spot?
Probably give it like a 6. I'd say it's okay. It's in the middle somewhere. It's not horrific. It's drinkable, but it's just a bit lackluster to me.
Yeah, I think it needs to have a considerable amount of water in there, and it needs time to open up and breathe. And of course, this is just the initial thoughts, the initial opinion after opening a fresh bottle. Once it gets past that shoulder, that's when the whiskies either go great or flatten. And let's hope that this one actually improves. And as ever, as I start to drink the bottle, if I find that my thoughts on the whiskey change, we'll come back and I'll do an update. But of course, this review is also going to be on the website, so keep an eye on the particular listing of this on the website when it goes live to find out whether or not there's more information put on at a later date. Well, that's all from me, and thank you very much, Cameron, for being here today, and hopefully you'll come back and do another review with me if you don't hide in Leeds for the rest of eternity. Later, guys.